and gentlemen, we're back. It's the One Health Podcast. We're back. We're better than ever. It's another great week here. I'm your host, Tori Schmelzer. I'm a fitness enthusiast / fitness entrepreneur, and my goal each week is to share the knowledge I gather through meeting industry experts with as many people as I can. For those of you who are new to the show, each week we are going to bring on different experts in areas of health. So that could be mental health, physical health, professional health, spiritual health. We don't claim to be experts in any of these subjects. We just know the people that are, and we interview them for the greater good. So thanks again for all the love and support we are getting from our subscribers on all the social media. Make sure you guys do us a favor. Leave us a review on iTunes. Go on that podcast app on your phone, little purple icon. Everybody has it on their iPhone. Stay up to date on the latest episodes. Subscribe there. Keep sharing it with your friends and your family. And remember, all of our videos are on our website, onehealthpodcast.com. Also, give us a follow and a like on Facebook there. That'd really help us, too. Shout out to our sponsors, EcoGym and Motivating You. Make sure you go to shop.teammotive, the number 8, the letter N, and the letter U.com. So shop.teammotivateingyou.com. Sign up for your free macro plan, which is a free food plan. Huge value there. A lot of people struggle with nutrition, so they pay a lot of money for these food plans. So that is definitely a gracious thing that they've done for us and our listeners. Also, ecogymworldwide.com. Go there, find a club near you. These guys are going to start popping open clubs over the next few years all around the country, so stay tuned for that. They've offered 6 weeks for $6 a membership through the end of this month, so just mention that you are a One Health subscriber, and you will get that amazing offer. They're also doing 24/7 access, hyperbaric therapy, red light therapy, healthy organic meals that ship to your doorstep, supplements, smoothies, group fitness classes. They got a lot going on there, so make sure you guys check them out. So today on the show, we have a team of people for the very first time. We've never had this many people on the show. This is a big day. I have Laura Gerber and her team here. I'm going to turn this over to Laura here. Just a quick background on Laura. She is a licensed clinical professional counselor who uses cognitive behavioral approach to treating long-standing personality disorders as well as other more acute disorders. She focuses on strength-based, non-pathological approach to treatment, breaking down issues into manageable goals. Did I nail that? Was that
perfect.
Was that
Tori.
good?
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So Laura, I don't know if you want to give us a little bit of background on your practice here. Mental health is definitely going to be a common reoccurring theme on the show. I think it's so important that we spread the word and help as many people as we can with these issues in our country with mental health. So, if you want to introduce these guys too, kind of let them do their thing.
So first of all, Tori, thanks for the opportunity.
Of course.
We are associates in psychological and educational services. We came together basically because we had the goal of helping folks with mental health, not looking at it from a pathological or an illness or disorder-based approach, but from health. So that's why I use the term mental health. So we have 3 other members of our team here today. 2 of our team members couldn't be here today, but I'm going to let the 3 that are here introduce themselves, and then I will talk a little bit about the 2 that are not here yet. So I will turn it over to...
I can go, I guess.
I will turn it over to Ben.
I'm Dr. Benjamin Michaels. I am a psychotherapist and postdoctoral fellow with our organization. And I've worked a lot with adolescents and children. And then the other half of my experiences come mostly with anxiety, depression, and substance abuse and domestic violence treatment for perpetrators.
Cool.
I'm Katrina Liddick. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a certified alcohol and drug counselor. I focus on mental health, specifically anxiety and depression disorders and substance abuse disorders.
Awesome.
My name's Jessica Miller. I am a licensed clinical professional counselor. I have several years experience working with domestic violence perpetration and substance abuse, as well as doing family counseling, couples counseling, individual work with the full spectrum of mental health concerns. Thanks for having us.
So you guys do a little bit of everything, really.
So can I introduce the other two that are not here from our team?
I guess I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so we also have Shemaya Derrick. She's a psychotherapist specializing in helping her clients identify negative thoughts and behaviors and apply simple interventions to improve their mental health and overall well-being. And then we have Dr. Kirk Erickson. He specializes in working with pre-adolescents and adolescents as well as families. He is a licensed clinical psychologist with over 30 years of experience. And, I think our team is pretty strong. We have people from, different backgrounds, different areas of expertise. And so I think we have a lot to offer the community.
Awesome. So these guys are in the Chicago area. You guys are opening up a new location? Yeah?
So we just opened up
You
a new
just
location.
opened up the new location.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. There are so many subjects. I guess what I want to start with, I want to get you guys' opinion on this stuff. So I heard stress and anxiety, what you guys mentioned that. That is a common theme that we all experience on a daily basis. Give me some tips and pointers, I guess, on how to deal with this stuff so it doesn't boil over. I'm sure you've each had different experiences with each client that you've dealt with. You said adolescents, Ben, too. Mm-hmm. That's a curious subject I want to get into, too, with you. But, yeah, I guess, Laura, lead us off here. What are some things that we can work on to kind of alleviate some of this daily stress that we're all experiencing?
So I think that, if you want to really work on daily stressors, it's actually, I like to have people set the tone for their day as they get out of bed and you put your feet on the floor instead of thinking, oh, I am exhausted, I've got all this ahead of me, is to look for the one thing that you're actually looking forward to during the day. So I call it setting the tone. And that will then definitely help alleviate some of the stress that you're feeling as you actually get up and get out of bed. I want to open it up to you guys to add sort of your tips and techniques.
Kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, Laura, I think in general, having something to look forward to, this week or, later this month is something that just really helps a lot of people work through some of the stresses of everyday life. And then one thing I talk to a lot of clients about in terms of stress and anxiety is just some of that really basic self-care of developing better practices around sleep and eating and exercise and things like that. Sleep hygiene is the biggest one, and that's one of the hardest ones for everybody these days, including myself.
So Ben, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I think that is really important for us to recognize is a holistic approach to therapy. And so looking at not just the mental health of somebody, but how the mental health affects our physical health, how our nutrition affects our physical health. So getting the sleep in, getting the exercise in, and exercise is a hard thing for a lot of people. Just even the term scares people off. Mm-hmm. So it's about trying to help people understand that you don't have to go into exercise thinking I'm going to come out as a bodybuilder, but going in thinking if I go and do a little bit of cardio, that actually is going to give me a little bit more energy during the day, but then matching that up with how do you then fuel your body in the right way. So it's all of it, spiritual, mental, everything. Sorry, Jessica.
Sorry. I think a lot of that comes from structure within the day, and starting off your day right and creating a good bedtime routine and things of that nature. But I also think that comes from like daily structure and kind of little achievable goals throughout the day. And so when there's a lot of stress and anxiety, especially around daily routine, I think creating structure within your day and also like lists and things of that nature, that way things are not overwhelming. A lot of times people feel like they have a lot of stuff going on, and I think creating lists goals for the day, getting to the gym for 30 minutes to get on that treadmill or to do that elliptical, or meeting with friends for self-care to touch base with the heart versus just the body.
Right, and I actually, just to jump off of that, with structure, I actually have clients, one of the very first techniques that I do with clients is talk about calendaring. A lot of people say, oh, it's all up here, it's in my head. I know exactly what I need to do for the day. And I actually encourage my clients to write it down. And I actually open up my calendar and I show them that I even have written on the calendar, here's when I'm going to the gym. Here's when I'm going to the grocery store. Here's my day at work. And even my to-do list for that day is on the calendar, because it's so important to just be able to see that and then check those things off as you go. But then not to get lost in your to-do list. If you didn't complete everything, it's okay. Move it to the next day.
I'm so guilty of that. I will have a million different things that get piled on me, like instant in the matter of 20 minutes. 20 items that get piled on me that I got to take care of. And I have found if I actually write it down, it doesn't look like that much. We all exacerbate these things, and we think, oh my God, there's so much going on. If you really take the time to write it down, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not that bad.
Right. And it's actually, Tori, the perfect thing to do too before you go to bed, to get everything out of your head in order to encourage good sleep hygiene, is to take out a piece of paper, write down the things that are in your head, the things that you think that you have to do tomorrow. And then if you do wake up in the middle of the night with some of those thoughts, I always encourage people to keep a pad of paper and a pen by their bed, write those down. Even if you don't turn on lights, don't put it into your phone, just write it down, even if you can't read it in the morning, because just the ritual of getting it out of your head, and on paper helps you to relax and go back to sleep. And in the morning, you get up and it's there. Even if you can't read it, then it wasn't really that important.
Well, and I think the important thing with all of this is balance, right? So figuring out what is important to every person, what are their values. So are you a mom? Are you a dad? Are you a student? Do you want to go to the gym? How much time a week do you want to devote to doing that, and also caring for yourself and just finding that balance?
Absolutely.
And I think one of the biggest things for managing stress is one thing that comes up a lot is learning to be forgiving of yourself, because it's really great and to write down lists and have schedules, but then people, myself included, will get behind and say, oh, I didn't get this done, I didn't get that done. Then they start beating themselves up, and then it kind of turns into this spiral, and it becomes detrimental. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, tomorrow's always a fresh start. So if you didn't accomplish something that you had thought you'd be able to, or you wanted to, tomorrow you can always start anew. So I think knowing that, one thing that, on that list per se that didn't get done, tomorrow, there's always tomorrow, and tomorrow can be a better day. And tomorrow, is prioritizing, what you would like to get accomplished during the day and what's going to alleviate the most stress. Right.
I want to go back to something that Katrina said, because I think that balance is extremely important. So I think we should talk a little bit more about, what does balance really look like, and that is as you're looking at your day, if you can't get to the gym, or if you don't eat right that day, if you didn't get enough sleep, it's okay. Because we do have to figure out the balance. And I think that, Katrina, you hit on something really well, right? Like, we all have multiple roles. We're an employee. Some people are parents. Some people are, children taken care of, elderly parents, or they're in that in-between stage where they're taking care of their kids and their parents. Some people are pet parents. Some people have multiple jobs. So I think you kind of really hit the nail on the head there with the balance.
Yeah, and it's easy to feel guilty taking time for yourself. If you are, especially if you're doing multiple roles,
right,
and you're taking care of other people, that guilt comes in. So it's tough.
Absolutely.
Balance. I love it. So one other thing that I touched on too, I had a relationship therapist come on a couple weeks back, and we talked about divorce. That's a huge topic. I come from a family of divorce. Most people do nowadays, unfortunately. So, Ben, I want to kind of get your perspective. You said you work with a lot of children in this stuff. What are you doing? What sort of advice? I know you're probably giving them a ton of advice. This is a real general statement here, but what are some things that you touch on to help these children deal with what's going on? And I'm sure different ages, they're at different stages, and they have different mentalities. What are some common things that you're kind of helping them with?
Well, one thing that comes up a lot in terms of working with children is a lot of work when you're working with kids and adolescents is a lot of work, is about half the work, or if not more, is with the parents. And so a lot of that is helping the parents develop good habits around separation and divorce. And it's, those basic kinds of the things that, I don't know, people that are trained in it think of basic, but like, don't talk about finances. Don't be disparaging of the other parent. Don't focus so much on, oh, this is your life now, this is different. Just focus on letting the child still be a child and have them go about their daily life and what they need to, and help them recognize that, yes, this might be difficult or it's a change for them, but as much as possible, maintaining structure in their lives, because children really need structure. And for the children, it's about helping them in an age-appropriate way understand that divorce has no bearing on parents' feelings about their child, and although it may feel that way.
Right. One of the things that I do, Ben, too, is talk a lot about the best interests of the child with the parents. I agree with you. A lot of the work is with the parents, and talk about co-parenting. That just because you might not be able to live with your spouse anymore, your relationship can shift in a way that still promotes health and wellness for, your children.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things is communication. I think with divorced parents, the levels of communication actually go up more so than maybe that was actually in the home before the divorce happened, because now we're coordinating things. We're coordinating pickups and drop-offs, and who's going to pick Timmy up from the baseball game and who's going to take him there, and things that came natural when in the same household is now going to be different. So I think promoting communication, not only effective communication between the parents, but also with the child, having a voice in the situation, because oftentimes we think, children don't have opinion, their children don't have feelings surrounding it. Oh, we keep him out of it, so he'll be fine. Children need that avenue, that safe environment where they can communicate. And whether that's with a loved one or with a parent who's open to honest feedback from their child, or with a professional, to give them, a third party that doesn't have a biased opinion on the situation.
I think you guys have a tall task sometimes, and you touched on it right there. Well, a lot of times what I hear and what I see is these parents, they're not talking to each other. When it gets to that point, there's no communication going on in the household. So you guys literally have to reteach them how to communicate to work through this process of divorce. I think that's huge, and that gets lost in the shuffle, really.
Absolutely, and that's why, talking about what's in the best interest of their children, because usually, this isn't in all cases, but most cases, the parents really believe in the best interest of their children. And so they're actually, that's sort of the hook, is if we can start talking about this as the best interest of the children, we can start to open up the line of communication.
And then another general thing that's really helpful is to help each parent in the situation to learn to let go because of how the other parent does their own half of parenting. Because a lot of divorced parents will get, oh, my husband does this, my wife does that, and they don't like that. But at the end of the day, the individual parents can't change how the other separated partner parents. And if there's not something they don't like, all they can do is provide the best environment they can. And because it's at the end of the day, it's a waste of energy for parents to get wrapped up in how somebody else is doing it, unless, of course, it's abusive or neglectful or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's really good. One other thing I wanted to touch on too is I know we're kind of bouncing around here, kind of all over the place, but I have so many questions. I'm like literally genuinely interested in this stuff. So
We can always come back.
I've had, we might have to do that. I have had friends and family members that deal with depression, okay? Now, there is this stigma, and I don't know if it's more male side versus female side, but especially on the male side, we don't talk about our feelings, right? So if somebody is depressed, they tend to just walk through the day, oh, I have to internalize this. I have to deal with this myself. How do you guys chip away at that wall do you guys have people that come? I'm sure you have people that come through the door, especially males. I don't know. I'm just speaking generally. I know that's not everybody, but how do you chip through that wall and get somebody to start kind of letting this out a little bit and making them realize that, like, it's okay to share what you're feeling, you know?
So Jessica, take it away.
Yeah, this is your.
So the interesting piece about this is it really starts off very basic. It's identifying the various feelings. As a society, we have a way of teaching our young men and boys to only express really two feelings. It's either anger or it's happiness. And so you would be surprised how little groups of men have, knowledge on the various emotions that we can have. We can be uncomfortable, we can be sad, we can be hurt, we can be disgusted, we can be tired, we can be hungry, there's so many, a vast, list of feelings, and we can be depressed, we could be angry. But most of the time, the feelings that we're having are usually expressed through anger. And that's what we see on the outside. So really getting individuals in touch with those feelings. And then once you get them in touch with those feelings, they're able to express it. We see it a lot, actually, in working with domestic violence perpetration. People only express their feelings through violence or through anger. And really teaching them to take a step back and look at themselves and say, look, I'm feeling this way. Not you always do this to me, or this is always happening. And so much like with domestic violence and depression, it's about figuring out what those feelings are and figuring out a safe environment to express them, and in a healthy way. Because we find individuals express them in unhealthy ways through anger or even maladaptive coping skills such as substance abuse and things of that nature.
And that leads me off onto two sub-points, I guess. That idea of learning to recognize what's behind that anger that a lot of people feel also comes up a lot in couples counseling, because you get that same conflictual kind of relationship people, and the anger is often about being hurt or feeling neglected or feeling insecure, and people don't always recognize that's what's actually going on. And then one other thing is, I really love the movie Inside Out. I don't know if you saw that, or...
Is that the Pixar movie?
The Pixar movie with animated emotions.
I am so mad at myself. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta watch that. That seems so funny. And I've only watched like a minute clip of it, but I was dying laughing because we can all relate to all of that in that movie.
It's really funny, and I've watched the behind the scenes of it, and they actually worked with psychiatrists and neurologists in the development of it. A lot of it is really kid-friendly psychology stuff, and it's really pretty spot on in terms of learning to understand what's going on. And I don't know, it's a good place that I usually can use. I can show a clip from that, and I'll use that and help use that to kind of bring it down into a really simple, easy to understand, and sometimes comical way.
That's good.
Which actually, Ben, is a good jumping point to talk about the fact that we do, in therapy, we use so many different tools and techniques. So it's not just about talking. It's about using movie clips. It's about doing sand tray therapy. It's about doing play therapy with kids. So we incorporate so many different things into our, our daily work with different individuals. We really tailor our therapy to meet the needs of everybody. And so, I know for myself, in my office, I have crayons and paper and coloring books, and I have a little doll that you can do the doll's hair or makeup or whatever you would like to do. We actually have a little mini gym in our office as well. We have board games, and at some point we will be adding a sand tray table, because that is actually an amazing tool or technique to help people who can't necessarily verbalize their feelings, but they can actually act out the feelings into the sand tray.
I have never heard of that before.
I haven't mentioned that, Laura, but I actually have a sand tray and some toys already.
Oh,
Look at
perfect.
he's been holding out on you this
perfect.
whole time.
Bring it on in, Ben.
How dare you? How do you guys? Okay, so let's say I have a friend who has. We're still on this depression topic. Let's say I have a friend who has depression, and I'm trying to give them advice. This has happened to me before. I'm trying to give them advice, the stereotypical, the grass is always greener on the other side. Just be grateful about what you have in life. Nothing that I say gets through to them in any way. I'm obviously not a qualified professional. What are some things that I could just try, little things to maybe try to get their perspective turned around a little bit? Is there anything I can even say to get through to them at all?
Actually, I'd forgotten my point on Inside Out. That's actually one of them. Is one of the biggest moments in that movie is the importance of sadness and the place for sadness in somebody's mental health. We're so focused as a society on being happy, but there's a really key role of sadness. And if anybody just keeps saying, oh, but this is good in your life or that is good, it invalidates and it makes people feel like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, and it makes them feel worse. So instead, a lot of therapy is, and a lot of which the best thing you can do is to really validate somebody and say, I'm really sorry that, you're having a hard time finding a job. I'm sorry that, your partner broke up with you. I remember when I've been in that situation,